one story that is geared towards real estate professionals, but I think we can all learn from it. Has this ever happened to you? Your buyer submitted their offer and the seller accepted it, and then the seller made changes on the original contract over the buyer's signature. Yep, that's exactly what happened in one of our files. And the buyer's agent didn't catch it. So is that contract even valid? It's really a very simple story, but it could have had serious connotations and consequences. From what we could gather, the buyer's agent presented a completed offer signed by the buyer with all the standard boxes checked. The offer asked that the seller pay for the policy of title insurance, the transfer tax, the home warranty plan, and the natural hazards report. The seller accepted the offer, signed it, and the real estate agents opened the escrow. Upon review of the contract by the escrow person, however, questions arose. In the payment of cost section, why was it that in each line item, not only was there a check mark for seller pay, but also a handwritten check mark for buyer pay as well? Did that mean that both buyer and seller were going to pay those particular costs, and so would each one of them pay 1/2? Aha! You probably already know what we deduced. The seller got the offer, printed it, and before signing it, he checked those buyer pay line item boxes. After signing in the appropriate areas, he presented it back to his agent as an accepted offer. In effect, what he did was he changed the buyer's offer before accepting it. And to make it worse, neither agents reviewed the fully final signed purchase agreement. Yes, purchase agreement. Because now, with the buyer and seller's signature on it, it was no longer an offer, but a purchase agreement. Or was it? What is the normal procedure when the seller wants to change certain items on the offer? The seller's agent will submit a seller signed counter with the terms that he wants on it, right? And if the buyer agrees to those terms that the seller wants, then the buyer will sign that counteroffer also. That seller's counteroffer, together with the buyer's original offer, will become the full purchase agreement. Well, that sure didn't happen in this case. But I am happy to say that our escrow officer caught this discrepancy even before escrow opened and pointed it out to both agents. Can you imagine if we had gone all the way to closing and made the buyer pay for half of the costs, which he thought the seller was going to be fully responsible for? I know the real estate agents were surprised and embarrassed that they didn't catch the changes. Hopefully, they would be more careful in the future and check the whole contract before submitting it to escrow. I sure hope that this seller who made the changes was simply unaware of the proper procedure and not trying to defraud the buyer. Because yes, changing material parts of a contract over the other party's signature without telling them can be construed as fraud. I know I don't have to tell real estate professionals how to write up an offer or a counteroffer, but I do remind everyone that in the industry today, when there is a lack of face-to-face contact and everything is done electronically or by email, there's always the possibility of errors and lack of sufficient communication between parties and their agents. Here's my escrow tip for this and other stories like this. We should all practice some due diligence when reviewing our finalized contract. Check it. Look it over carefully. Make sure you got the document back the way it should have been. Make sure that there were no changes made without your knowledge or authorization. Don't just accept it all if you're just looking for the party's initials and signatures on it. I have another story for another time that will be posted on our Stories from the Trenches regarding a similar but much more serious incident which ended up in litigation. I hope you will look for it on my Think Escrow channel. This is Juliana too, and thank you for watching this Escrow Tip. I look forward to bringing the next one to you too.